All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Teach Me Tuesday. I, of course, am your host, Ursinity. I'm here with fellow host Beedub. Hello, Beedub.
Hello.
Today's episode is brought to you, of course, by Unicorn. That is UNIKRN. We'll hear more about them on the mid-roll, and also fueled by Robitussin, because that's all I've been drinking all day, and I feel like death. So we're going to get through this very exciting podcast, and I'm thrilled. It's going to be my one productive thing on my sick day. So, yeah. All right. B-Dub, how's your week in Dota been before we kick off to all the questions and whatnot?
It's been okay. I've been playing kind of randomly here and there.
Okay.
Moving back to the UK is taking up a lot of time. Packing everything. Actually, today is my last day with my PC, so I'm kind of sad about that. It'll be dismantled this evening after this podcast and this episode, and put in a box and will be shipped over to the UK. So I'll still have my laptop though, so I'm okay about that. But I will be playing on one of those silly MacBook Airs. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'll have a mouse. I mean, have you ever tried to play Dota with a trackpad?
I have not. I played WoW with a trackpad at one point, just because I had to. I forget why. But yeah, trackpads are rough. I'm always impressed when people can use like non-traditional mice and be good at things.
Yeah, I have tried to play Dota with a trackpad, and it's real bad.
It's hard.
It doesn't work. So I will still have a mouse, but yeah, I'll just be on this kind of like tiny little laptop, which everything will look really pixely and horrible on it. So
yeah,
I'm sad about that. But yeah, so recent games of Dota have been okay. I've been playing a lot of support again, just because every time I seem to play carry, it kind of goes a bit weird. Like I feel like I'm not really sure what I'm doing anymore after the new patch. Like it just doesn't seem to be going well as it used to be. I think the fact that poor man's shield is gone is kind of throwing me off quite a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's been okay. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, so that's good at least. At least it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it hasn't been.
Okay,
it hasn't
is
been
one
bad.
step above that.
It's been quite fun. I've been quite enjoying Turbo.
See, I haven't even touched Turbo yet.
Oh, really? You haven't played any?
Yeah, I'm a bit apprehensive about playing the mode. I fall victim to building bad habits very easily, and I feel like Turbo is a custom game that's close enough to real Dota that my instincts and my habits carry through and may change and get messed up. Whereas like if I'm going to play, Island Troll Tribes or something, it's not going to mess up my Dota skill, because even though it's the same engine and it's the same like client, it's such a drastically different game. Or like if I'm playing Overthrow, it's like, this is dissimilar enough that I don't mess with my initial like with my already pre-built good habits and whatnot. So I'm a bit concerned about Turbo. Also, like I just play other games if I don't have time to play Dota. Like,
yeah, true. I totally understand what you're saying about, like, I don't know, giving you bad habits and stuff. Yeah, because I played 3 Turbo games in a row, and then I played a all-pick one. And this was before they changed it, so you could buy items wherever you were.
Oh, yeah, before the courier thing.
Yeah, and so in my regular game, I was like, oh, I can get this, and I'll have it straight away. And then I was like, oh, wait. Actually, no, I have to go to the shop, or I have to get the courier or whatever. Or like maybe no one bought the courier. It wasn't great. It was bad.
Yeah. One of the other things that I've been running into, since I play a lot of unranked, or I play exclusively unranked at the moment. Actually, by the time this show comes out, the new rank system may have come out. So we'll be talking about that on Thursday and on next week, Teach Me Tuesday, I'm sure. But yeah, I haven't bothered with Turbo yet for that reason. Like that's definitely gonna happen to me. Like I feel like so Proud talks about this a lot, and we talk about it on Theorcraft Thursdays often, where I have certain bad habits because I have played too many casual games and too many like stack games where I'm by far the highest MMR, and I have to like do really like I can get away with really dumb, objectively bad plays, but I can just figure my way out of it. But and so some of that stuff carries over when I'm playing solo, and it's really bad. And so I've worked actively to get rid of some of those bad habits. And I really feel like if I start playing a lot of turbo just to kill time, it's going to mess with me, and I'm going to like start playing too aggressively or like just picking weird things. And so I'm a bit, I have not messed with it so far. Someday maybe.
Yeah, there's definitely that to watch out for. I think it's kind of good because I don't feel as much pressure. So I can play a new hero without getting too much kind of anxiety or whatever going along with it. Like otherwise, even though like I've never played ranked and all of my games have been unranked, I always still get like very nervous if I'm playing a new hero that I'm not 100% familiar with in a game. I still get that kind of like sense of pressure and stuff. So that's nice. Turbo, you don't kind of care as much, but definitely Turbo, need to watch out for bad habits.
Turbo definitely has its uses. I think obviously the first use is if you're just a busy person and you can't fit like a full game of Dota in. Like a lot of the people that I see in our Discord playing Turbo are like the family people that like have kids or whatever. Yeah. It's like, sure, you could play Turbo for 20 minutes, 30 minutes instead of playing Dota for 40 to 60 minutes. The thing that I like about Turbo is that it lets you practice heroes that, like, sure, the game flow might be different and all that, but if you need to practice the way to use abilities on a hero, it's a great mode to do that in. Because like I've watched plenty of Turbo, even though I have not been playing it. And it is like, if you want to practice Invoker, you can just play Turbo and like you'll get to a late game Invoker way faster and be able to practice your spell combinations and all that. Or if you want to test out, your tiny combos or whatever, it's very useful to be able to go into Turbo and say, all right, like I'm going to get my items. It's not like if I have a bad game, this is a waste of 30 minutes, right? So I think that's a really niche, or not niche, but it's a really neat use of the mode. Anyway, let's get to your questions. So you've built up some questions and whatnot from all of 7.07, and I'm excited to see what they are. You said they were kind of a like shotgun approach of just a lot of little random things, but that's probably the best way to do it in these kind of new waters.
So every time I seem to play Wraith King, every time I seem to play Wraith King in the new patch, I lose.
Okay.
I'm not sure why. I think so I'm a little bit confused by his new skeleton friends that kind of pop up now because I'm not sure when is the best time to use them because they kind of wander off and do their own thing, right? So when I first started playing Wraith King, I was like, okay, well, maybe they'd be good for pushing a wave and then I could just wander off. So I could just raise them, they'll push the lane down and then I can go and jungle or something. But they do just kind of wander around. Like, should I be saving them for a team fight? Like, I don't know I don't know when I should be using them.
Okay, so fair warning, I've not played Wraith King yet this patch, and Proud is definitely the Wraith King guy. But I will say, I've seen a number of Wraith Kings in my pubs, and the way they usually do it is they'll just pop the skeletons up when they're pushing, and there's nothing to attack except for a tower. That's usually it. Yeah. I almost never see them pop skeletons in an actual team fight because, like you said, the skeletons are uncontrollable, so they just kind of do whatever, and they just get killed by AoE. So, in general, the way that I see it be most successful is just, hey, we're pushing a tier 3, I'll just throw skeletons out, and either they stay while we leave, or they're helping us push the tower, or, whatever's. That's
I do
my
say,
best bet. My best guess, rather.
I do love the addition though. They bring me so much joy. Just watching that. I feel like every time I played, I've got the extra 5+5 skeleton talent, which probably is the wrong one to get, but it's just so much fun. And so I've got a load of skeleton charges and I pop them actually I think I did it. I was part of the extra live stream that happened a couple of weeks ago on the Death Savers channel, and I saved up my skeletons and I was kind of pushing down a lane and it was great. But because we had a ward where there were some neutral camps, I popped all my skeletons and I was expecting them to kind of just carry on going down the lane, but they all wandered off and just started jungling. And I was just I had this troop of kind of 8 skeletons running around the jungle, taking all the jungle. And I was just that's not what I wanted you to do at all. It was so annoying, but it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. They're just so funny.
Yeah, it's one of those things that Valve / Icefrog, they definitely throw some things in, and they're just this is probably not balanced. This is probably like either just way bad or way too good, but we're just going to throw it in there and then like let people play around with it and then figure it out later. So I think the little skeletons, they're just like, all right, we're just going to put this in the game for now and see what people do with it and see if it's utter garbage or if it's way OP and then balance it from there. And I think skeletons are definitely one of those cheeky things where they're just like, hey, like, sure, why not? Why not just raise a bunch of skeletons that attack whatever they want, like that are uncontrollable? Sure.
Yeah, they are great. It has brought me so much joy, I have to say. But yeah, they just seem a bit random, I guess. Can't kind of quite figure out really what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I really don't know what to do with them. Like, I don't know how to place them, I suppose. Like, when I see them in a fight, I'm like, I guess this is something, but it's not a threat because it might just not attack me.
Yeah.
And it might be a threat because all 5 of them might attack me. Like, you just don't know. The big thing people were complaining about, I remember reading a Wraithing Reddit thread about this spell specifically, is that in the late game, it's similar to Shadow Fiend in that, well, actually, probably a bad example, but the problem is that you are not killing creeps with Mortal Strike frequently in the late game because you're killing things either too quickly because you have too much damage, or you're just not killing things because you're like sustaining a push. So you don't actually build up skeletons to summon in a lot of games post, 40 minutes. Right, like when you're farming lane in the jungle in the first 20 minutes, then yeah, sure, you always are going to have a ton of these skeletons. But in the late game, like you're not just sitting around farming creeps for a while. Like that's not a thing you do. So in the late game, it kind of falls off, especially if you invest in these skeleton talents that are like, all right, I need to wait in between fights to accumulate skeletons. That way I can like be at full strength. Kind of like how Shadow Fiend, if you die, you can't just buy back and fight. Like he's the worst buyback hero. Because you buy back and then suddenly you're at like half effectiveness for your ult and you deal like 32 less damage. Or if you have ags, like whatever it is, way more or less damage. So yeah, it's there's a weird nuance to it that I don't think is 100% balanced, but I think that's fine. I think it's just like a fun ability.
Yeah.
So what next?
So I saw obviously now Poor Man's Shield is gone.
Yes, R.I.P.
Yeah, I saw some people saying that I haven't tried this out, but getting 2 Stout Shields instead
that
is an option or something. And I wanted to know, like, is that actually a legit thing to do, or is that just kind of something that people are suggesting but actually isn't very good, and I should not do that?
It's actually a thing that people used to do, specifically on Axe. Like, the creep cutting Axe build where you're just like, from like level 1, you bring a Dazzle with you to lane or whatever, and then you just cut creep waves and pressure them under tower. People used to do double Stout Shield with that, myself included. I used to. So the way that it works is that it does not give you like a full Poor Man's Shield, because if I recall correctly, the Poor Man's Shield was blocking damage every single attack, and that was the big advantage, was that every single attack was lowered. But Stout Shield is only a 50% chance to block 18 damage, or 18 damage. So if you have 2 of them, and again, I'm working off of what I assume it does, because this is how other items work, like crit, is that if somebody attacks you and you have a single Stout Shield, it says, all right, a ranged creep is attacking you for 30 damage. And then the game checks that first Stout Shield and says, all right, does this roll, like, does this hit or not, or does this like proc or not? And so that gets decided, and then it says, all right, if it doesn't, then it doesn't block any damage, it does 30, or it just goes to armor, whatever. And if it does roll to block, then you block 18 damage and it does 12, right? And then it gets blocked by armor. But if you have 2 Stout Shields, it checks that first Stout Shield, and then if that first Stout Shield failed to proc, then it checks the second one, and then it also, so basically you're getting like a 75% chance to block instead of 50. But it's still not 100 because it's not additive, it's multiplicative. So yeah, I honestly have not seen anybody doing it this patch. I don't also like it is sure, like technically it's less gold than a what's called Poor Man's Shield, but Poor Man's Shield also gave you nearly a full armor in the previous patch.
Yeah.
So that was also adding to the mitigation. It is I would not go double Stout Shield. Maybe I would.
Okay.
Maybe I would do it on Axe. Maybe, but probably not. Almost certainly not. It's just one of those cheeky things that, like, I feel like it's one of those things where people are like, "Oh man, I unlocked this cool secret. I go double Stout Shield," and it like they make some like absurd math, and they're like, "Oh man, this makes perfect sense." But in actuality, it's like, yeah, this doesn't really like. Sure, it's cool and like it does something, and it makes you look weird when the enemy checks your inventory and they're like, "Oh man, why does he have 2 Stout Shields?" But it really is not. It definitely is not equivalent to a poor man's shield. I'll say that much. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would not advise going double Stout, especially on like safe laners or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I think it was. Maybe it was like a Reddit post or something, and I was like, "Oh, that's something that people are maybe thinking about doing." Like it just seems kind of.
I would maybe do it on Axe, and that's it. Because like you would want to. The only way that you would get enough benefit from this is if you consistently have a lot of creeps attacking you, and the only time that's going to happen is if you are creep cutting, and the only time you're going to be creep cutting is if you're an Axe or a Timbersaw. But Timbersaw doesn't need 2 Stout Shields because he has 1 billion armor, so it's not really applicable to Timbersaw. So yeah, maybe Axe could do it, but even then, like I would just buy like an armor item. Like I would just buy a ring of protection, and sure, it doesn't give me as much block as a Stout Shield, but I already have a Stout Shield, and I can build a ring of protection into Bassi or something, and you can kind of figure your way out of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
All right. Okay, so I won't do that then.
That's probably for the best. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've just been kind of ignoring that I don't have poor man's shields and just going on to whatever my next item would have been anyway.
That's what I've been doing. I guess that's definitely what I advise.
Okay.
Okay,
cool.
It hurts not having poor man's shield, but at the same time, the enemy doesn't have poor man's shield, so it all equals out because enemy offlaners with poor man's shields were just impossible to play against.
True. Okay, so my next question would be about Rubik's Null field.
Okay.
And that can be toggled between defensive and offensive forms now.
I don't. That's not true, is that?
Wasn't that?
I'm going crazy. I just opened up Rubik in game. I feel like I heard that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It is temporary though.
Yes.
1 second. I'm like, I played one Rubik game and I honestly did not even notice that this was a thing because there's so many patch notes going on.
Yeah, so I actually haven't played Rubik yet, this patch, just because I feel like it doesn't change too much, but I'm still a little bit confused about how to kind of use that
It's just a reversal. I mean, so the way you use it is just if you are playing offensively, I mean, this sounds like an oversimplification, but if you are in an offensive position and you are, let's say you're smoke ganking, and it's like you as Rubik as the 5, and then you have like a Skywrath, Mage 4, and then, you know, whatever 3, and let's say the 3 of you smoke together, like a Sand King. And if you toggle it offensively, the enemy team is taking, let's see the scaling, 10, 14, 18, or 22% more magic damage because their magic resistance is lowered. Whereas if you are getting ganked, you want to have it on the defensive like you get magic resistance platform or setting.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially I would keep it on defensive always. And then if something is happening and I know I'm safe, but the enemy team is like on the defensive, like if they're running away, I will then pop I'll pop it into offensive. But I would rarely keep it in. I would never keep it in offensive. It's more like every once in a while you pop offensive.
Okay, so like it shouldn't be used maybe at the beginning of a team fight, but more towards the end, just so you can kind of see which way it's going, I guess. Or would you? I guess maybe you'd want to start off with it in offense. If you know you're going to go for a gank, then yeah.
It really depends on like the team fight and the team comp. True. So like, for instance, using my example, if you are smoking on somebody and you initiate a team fight with like a Skywrath Mage and a Sand King Blink stun and whatnot, then you're going to be best off popping that immediately. That way, Skywrath Mage can get all his spells off and hopefully kill somebody. But if they are... but let's say Sand King misses his stun and then the Skywrath Mage isn't able to get a combo off, then you guys are probably going to be leaving because you guys are in a bad position and you want to keep it on defensive in that situation so that you can escape. right? I mean, I may be a little overly defensive, but I would generally try to synergize having this on defensive the vast majority of the time, and only occasionally switching to offensive, like right before my team is popping a whole bunch of stuff, or if there's no possible way we're taking magic damage, right? Like if we're chasing somebody down, there's no way we're going to take magic damage. So, and even if we do, whatever, it's not a huge deal. We still have all our base magic resistance. It's not like we get negative magic resistance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would. I would definitely keep it on defensive normally, and then occasionally in team fights, right before we blow spells and whatnot, I would go to offensive position for it. That's interesting. I feel like an idiot now because I played an entire game of Rubik and did not notice that was a thing at all. And especially after like reading the patches.
Did you win?
Oh God, I don't think so. I had like a really bad day.
That's why.
I had a bad day where I lost 3 games in a row, and Rubik was one of those. It was. No, never mind. It wasn't that game. But yeah, it was. Actually, I did all right that game. We had a 1 and 13 Spirit Breaker that didn't do great, and a 4 and 11 Timber Saw. And the enemy team had a 17 and 2 Anti-Mage. So yeah, that's about how that game went.
Oh wow. That sounds really horrible.
Yeah, it was not. I'm not particularly enjoying this Anti-Mage meta. As much as I am an Anti-Mage player, I don't frequently play safe lane, so my ability to play Anti-Mage does not particularly equate to success in this meta. And the one time I did play Anti-Mage, I just got aggro dual laned. We just freaking lost 32 MMR. It's terrible.
Oh no.
But
yeah, I have to say I haven't been coming across him that much.
Oh, you're lucky.
In my games, so I feel really lucky that
blessed.
That hasn't been happening. Yes.
Yeah.
So actually, when we were talking about that, you mentioned a position for Skywrath Mage, right?
Yeah.
And so Skywrath Mage is my favorite in the game. Like he's my ultimate kind of comfort hero. I just think he's like a great hero. But I've never played him in a position 4 role. It's always been position 5.
Yeah. I generally wouldn't play him as a forward, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. I was just about to ask, is that something you that would work? Because that's just never occurred to me. Because I guess what makes a good 4 is, I don't know, maneuverability and what does make a good 4?
Well, a good 4 compensates for the weaknesses of your 3 usually. So if your 3 has blink stun, then you don't need it from your 4, and your 4 pool is a bit more open. Your 4, the way I think of 4 is like a slot filler, where you say, all right, what does our team need? What does our team not have at the moment? All right, we have a 5 dazzle, and our 3 is like an underlord, and then our 2 and our 1 are, whatever, who cares? They're not picked yet, let's say. Then your 4, you say, all right, so between my 3 and my 5, we don't have any actual stuns. We just have a root, and we have a bunch of healing. And so picking my 4, I think, all right, I need initiation, and I need the ability to stun somebody. So then I say, all right, I'm going to play Slardar, or I'm going to play... Spearbreaker doesn't blink, obviously. Venge might work.
Because you could swap. But Venge is weird, actually. I don't know. She's
Venge is generally a 1 or a 5. The changes to the safe lane and to mid lane that make it so you don't have to have a you don't have to have a 4/4, if that makes sense. You don't have to have somebody that's sitting around roaming. What a ridiculous sentence. So you don't have somebody that is roaming the entire game. You just need to have. Well, you don't need to have anything, I suppose, is the point, is that you have a bit more open of a playing field. So using Skywrath, to get back to that point, is that in the previous patch, I would never pick Skywrath as a 4. But in the current patch, you have more room to pick Skywrath potentially as a 4, even though ideally in a regular situation, I would be picking him as a 5. And some people have been playing mid Skywrath, which I just have a guttural hatred for mid Skywrath. I think it's actually...
I really...
I hated it. I hated it for so long that even if it's good now, I just don't want to accept it, I think. But that has some potential. The new Kaya item is pretty fun in him. I actually just recently played a Skywrath game. Yes. Let me see what I played him in this game. Oh, this was with me and Proud. Oh, this is actually last Theorycraft Thursday. I talked about Skywrath. That's what it was. I like Skywrath a lot now, though. And this game I actually did play him as a 4 because we had a 5 lion. And was more of like an aggro duo situation. But yeah, I think Skyrath's in a really good place right now. He's a really strong support to play against heroes like Storm Spirit that are getting much more popularized, and he's quite he's good against Anti-Mage in some ways and bad against Anti-Mage in others. But if you have good tempo control, he can really dominate an Anti-Mage. If like the Anti-Mage just can't get to that Manta style, you can kill him like 4 or 5 times just through like your absurdly low silence. So yeah, I like Skyrath now, but I would not pick him as a 4 unless you need to.
What changed between the last patch and this patch that makes him more of a viable 4? Because until you said like, oh, you could have a Skyrath position 4, I was like, oh, that never even occurred to me. And
yeah, well, so you remember our last patch, we always had our 4s were always roamers, right? We had a dedicated roamer in virtually every game, ideally. And nowadays, now that mid is back to being more or less a 1v1, you don't have to have a dedicated roamer, which means your 4 is a bit more opened up because they don't need to have that roaming capability. They can kind of do whatever the team needs them to do, right? So like in the previous patch, if you had a 4 and they weren't Earthshaker, Earth Spirit, Spirit Breaker, or Kunkka, or like, well, pretty much those 4, or Night Stalker 5, you were going to have problems. Or Pudge, I guess, in a pub. Pudge is actually pretty good right now. I hate to say that, but Pudge is pretty good. Nowadays, you could say, all right, like, we don't need to roam on mid. That's not a thing that is necessary, right? We're not back to the old tri-lane versus tri-lane mid situation that we were last patch. So your 4 does not need to have those roaming capabilities, so the pool opens up. Because, like, yeah, sure, you can pick those heroes, but you can also pick a Skyrath, or you can also pick a Venge, you can also pick, like, a Jakiro, or a Coddle, or whatever. It is still, in general, you're going to be picking more of those roamer type, just because they fill a role in a team that is very necessary, and that usually they have a blink stun and or team fight and or BKB piercing stun. And they have that aggression capability, and they're tanky. But in a lot of team comps, if you say, all right, the enemy team picked a Timbersaw off lane, and we have nothing to deal with it. Like, I don't know, let's see, what would be really bad at dealing with a Timbersaw? We have like a 5 Lina, and then we have a safe lane Spectre, and they're going to have an off-lane Timbersaw, right? Your 4, you say, all right, if we picked a Slardar, that's not going to do anything for us. Like, we probably can't kill him because our safe lane is a Spectre, right? We can't really zone him consistently because we have to expend so much mana and whatnot to zone him that he'll just go and salve or heal and then come back. And we need something that can deal with Timbersaw. You say, all right, we can't pick any of the 4s we like that have those blink stuns or, whatever you were desiring for a team. Let's say maybe minus armor or whatever. So, all right, we need a counter to Timbersaw. Let's pick a Skyrath. And you're able to do that and not be like completely ruined as a team. Because you say, all right, like we have a 4 Skyrath and he deals with the Timbersaw. Our 5 is pulling and getting stuff off the map that way. And everything is basically, everything's kosher. Whereas before you'd say, all right, like we're just screwed. Like we picked a 4 Skyrath. In our safe lane, or mid lane is like an Invoker, but we can't support him in lane because he's just going to get roamed on, and we don't have a roamer to counteract this. And like, if we leave, we just have so many issues. And like, Lina can't help him. Like, it opens up the whole playing field to issues in our previous patch. So yeah, nowadays you can say, all right, we need to have a counter to Timbersaw or a counter to Axe and pick Skyrath. Or you can say, all right, they have like, I don't know, they have something incredibly annoying. Like they have a Darkseer. Like, hey, we want to ruin his lane, so let's pick a Oracle 4. Like, sure, that's not ideal.
Okay,
but it's going to do really well in that situation, or to counter any other hero. So yeah,
that's super interesting. Like, I've never thought about position 4s in the way that, like you said earlier, that they fill the gap, or they do something that your position 3 doesn't.
Yeah, and it goes the opposite way too.
Interesting. Like, I've never really thought about that before. Yeah,
3s and 4s are very much gap fillers in my mind, and 5 also has a little bit of this. Usually, you're centering your team around your big ticket cores, right? Your 1 and your 2, and if you have a really hard carry like a Spectre, or a really hard carry mid like a Meepo, then your 1, then your other core also kind of, you play more of a 4 protect 1. But in general, your 3, 4, and 5 are the more malleable positions on the team, and 4 specifically has a lot of like is a very reactionary pick, because usually you pick your 5 early. That's one of the key reasons. If you pick your 4 early, then your 5 becomes your reactionary pick, right? If you first pick 4 Slardar, you say, all right, like, this is just a hero and he's good and we have him on our team now. He's a 4. Okay, cool. And then your 5 becomes your reactionary pick, because they say, all right, like, we just picked a sniper. We need a 5 that deals with sniper. And you say, all right, like, I guess I'll play Venge or something. Or I'll play, I don't know, this is a bad example because not a lot of 5s counter sniper. I'll play Dazzle. And then whenever he's trying to kill people, I'll just shallow grave them and then they won't get assassinated. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And similarly, like, if you're 3, if your team lacks stun, like blink initiation, or lacks, whatever, then your 3 can say, all right, if we've not picked our 3 yet, suddenly Axe is really good because they have a bunch of BKB heroes and we want to BKB Pierce. Or suddenly Timbersaw is good because they have a bunch of strength heroes and they don't have a lot of lockdown. Yada, yada, yada. So the mental math in the picking phase changes depending on who is picked already. So if your 5 is picked, then your 4 is more reactionary. And if your 4 is picked, then your 5 is more reactionary. And if your 3 is picked, then each is, each reacts differently and builds off of one another. Whereas the 1 and 2 are more counter pick focused or like team synergy focused. Okay. Do you want to hop into another question?
Yeah.
Or do you have anything else on how 3, 4s, and 5s work together? Because that is like a pretty big topic.
Yeah, I think it's weird because you kind of learn what like a 1, 2, 3, and a 4 are, but I've never, especially like amongst like me and my friends when I play, they're just kind of like, we loosely kind of know what they're supposed to be doing, but actually it's just kind of occurred to me now, like I've never really thought about it. So I think maybe that should be like left for another episode maybe, and we could go into a bit more detail about like what are the roles that they're actually supposed to be like fulfilling, I guess. Maybe that we can actually have a think about it and do that as a separate, because that is quite a big topic, like you were saying.
Yeah, it is. It's weird because the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a descriptor for roles was put into the game back when it was more of a strict farm priority thing. So your 1 was always the hardest farmer, the 2 was the second hardest farmer, the 3 was the third hardest farmer, 4 was, yada, yada, yada. But nowadays, and Proud has brought this up many times, and it's a really good point in that you think of the 1 through 5 roles as less about farm priority, because farm priority is very malleable. And some people don't like that I use the word malleable because technically it's like a welding term or whatever, but I don't care about that. I'm going to keep using malleable. So yeah, nowadays, like, farm priority is much more malleable because you say, all right, like, I am the 1, but my 4 is about to get his Blink Dagger and Earthshaker, so I'm going to seed him farm. So suddenly that 4 moves up to 1 on the farm priority list. So it's not as rigid as it used to be. No, it wasn't that rigid before either, to be fair. But yeah, it is just kind of how they're described as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even if their 4 is not the traditional 4, you just kind of call it a 4 because it's not a 5 and it's not a 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can get a bit weird and confusing, to be fair.
Actually, I was just looking at my Dota buff, and I played an Undying game a couple of days ago, and it worked out really well. Wait, why did you say
There's been some conversation recently about what Undying is in terms of like a 3, 4, or 5. Yeah. And it gets heated.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not sure what position any of us were supposed to be, because our team, it was me and 2 other friends, and then we had 2 randomers. Yeah. And so me and my brother decided we wanted to do the Undying Pugna offlane.
Okay, the flatline special.
That's something we wanted to do.
Well,
yeah, the flatline special. We wanted to try it out. Yeah, so that was really funny. But we then had a safe lane Phantom Lancer, but then also like a safe lane Bristleback as well.
Huh, that is
and
weird.
And then a mid Mirana. So it was Mirana, Undying, Pugna, Phantom Lancer, and Bristleback. And like, I mean, obviously, apart from like the mid Mirana and the PL. I have no idea what roles. Actually, in this game, we forgot to buy a courier, I think, because no one had any idea really what they were supposed to be doing.
Yikes!
And there was a big kind of mush of like 3, 4, and 5. I guess like no one really knew what position we were supposed to fill.
Yeah, that definitely is harder to determine because. All right, so ideally in that game, what you would have done is you would have aggro duoed, so you would have put Bristleback and PL in opposite lanes. You would not have put them in the same lane because both of them are heroes that require items. And Mirana still would have been mid. And
yes.
So you would have done, let's say, PL and Pugna safe lane, Mirana mid, and then Bristleback Undying as an aggro off lane. And then you would have rotated the Undying around to say, all right, hey, we need our Undying to go mid because mid's getting ganked. Hey, we need our Undying to go bottom to push the tower. Hey, we need our, yada, yada, yada. And so, it is... That game theoretically has a pretty clear 1 through 5 situation, but because of the laning situation, that kind of all just goes out the window and you just got to wing it. Which, unfortunately, that happens in Dota a lot. As much as we can get on our ivory tower and say, oh, you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z, in actuality, it's more just hey, some games of Dota, logic does not apply, and you just got to go with it.
Yeah. It was maybe one of the strangest games I've played, but we won really hard with it. We won in 33 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We were against the enemy team was a sniper, a shadow shaman, a Sven, a legion commander, and a dragon knight. And we wrecked him. Yeah,
I was going to say that. That sounds... you have the virtue of having a bunch of tanky heroes and a bunch of annoying heroes all at once, and that's an easy way to win a game. The easiest ways...
Yeah, we shouldn't...
Yeah. The 2 easiest ways to win games of Dota 2 are to pick 5 heroes that stun, or to pick 5 tanky heroes, or, 4 tanky heroes and 1 whatever. Now, those are... If you are entering into a pub and you have no clue what to do, just pick a hero that has stuns, or pick a hero that's tanky and is annoying, like Undying. But yeah, Undying is a 4 or a 5, and he does really well in aggro lanes, but he's not a solo offlaner. I think that's a pretty safe...
No.
Again, this is a heated topic, so I don't even want to decisively say anything, but if I ever have an Undying offlane on my team, I know I've lost that game. I would love to have an Undying 4 or 5. I think Undying's a great hero, but man, I do not like...
But not as a 3.
Yeah, he's not a solo offlaner, just point blank. He just doesn't provide to a team what I expect to get out of my 3. He creates a lot of holes. We don't need to go deeply into it, but like I was talking about earlier, where your 3, 4, and 5 they fill holes in a team, and they work around the enemy team and your own team and say, all right, we don't have a stun, so we need to pick a stun for our 3, or hey, we don't have, whatever. If you are picking Undying 3, you really need to have a very hyper-specialized 4 and 5 that solve an absurd amount of problems, and that's very unlikely to have in pubs. Then again, Undying is really good in pubs because he's just a Havoc Reeker. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. It was a fun game. I felt bad. We shouldn't have won it. It is what it is, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, so frequently you lose with a great team comp or you win with a terrible one, and it just goes to show, unless you're playing a TI, your team comp only matters so much, right? Ideally, I had a game like that recently. I can't even remember what it was offhand. I played a Chaos Knight game, and we had a guy that thought it was turbo mode, so he first picked Ember Spirit, and he was like, oh man, I'm so excited for turbo mode, and we were like, yeah, this is not turbo mode, buddy, you're in the wrong place, because those buttons are right on top of each other, and they're both highlighted. It's nonsense. I get that all the time in Unranked, but he's like, oh man, it's not turbo, and he's like, yeah, I really don't want to play core, so I'm just going to play support. And we're like, well, you're Ember Spirit though, so that seems difficult. And then the rest of our teammates just start shouting 3 spirits, 3 spirits. And I had a good laugh because I was like, oh, 4th spirit. That's funny. But everyone starts chanting 3 spirits. And so my end team comp was a Storm Spirit mid, our 2 supports were Ember Spirit and Earth Spirit. We had an offlane Slardar, and then I played Chaos Knight. And the enemy team had a legit team comp. And we should never have won that game. But we just kind of did anyway, because it's just pubs. That's just how it works out. Oh, wow. But yeah.
That's so sad. I feel sorry for the team you were playing against. They were probably sitting there going, why is this happening? Yeah. It's sad. Yeah.
So do you have one more question before we hop into our question and answer segment?
I was going to just generally ask about what supports would you recommend in this patch so far, as from what you know. Yeah.
So my support pool right now, I would say if I'm entering into a pub, if I'm first picking, I'm probably picking either Jakiro or Rubik. If I am, those are like my super safe picks. Like I know every game I play Rubik, and especially now that I know that you can change his E, I feel like an idiot now.
Yeah.
That's like that's always a safe first pick. If I'm just picking generally, like let's say I'm like third picking or something or fourth picking, then I am picking more reactionary. I really like Ancient Apparition at the moment. I love Bane, of course, but I've been rooting for Bane for like a long time. So, yeah, I mean, I would say my top 3 supports are definitely Bane, Rubik, Jakiro. And then Winter Wyvern. She's also definitely top tier in my book. She has some core weaknesses. She has some key weaknesses. That's the thing. That's the word I should use, not core. She has some key weaknesses in that she does not provide a spammable stun. And her heal is very non-linear. Like her heal it adds weird elements to the game because it locks somebody in place. It's not just like a dazzle heal, right? Dazzle heal is very linear and just like, hey, I healed you. Whereas Winter Wyvern heal, it's like, all right, you're stuck there for 4 seconds and you're just going to have to suffer.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll die, maybe you won't.
Yeah, I would say actually a Winter Wyvern question because I haven't played her a huge amount.
You're in luck, I have.
I've got like a 50% win rate with her. I feel like that's not down to me at all, though. That's just kind of luck of the draw whether we've won or not. I feel like I haven't contributed anything when I play her because the issue I have with her is timing my ult.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it should be kind of like an initiation kind of thing or whether it's something you try and catch someone with, because you don't want to do it in the middle of a team fight because, you know,
your teammates
you get someone who's just done. Yeah. So I just don't know when to time it. And you don't do it. And then everyone's like, oh, you should have done it then.
Yes.
And then you do it. And then they're like, oh no, like I was going to do this. And then you're like,
yeah, you're going to get flamed no matter what.
I don't feel like I can I feel like I can't do anything right, almost.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any general tips to help me out with that?
Yeah, so I've played 85 games of Winter Wyvern. She's like by far one of my favorite supports. She might actually be just straight up my favorite support. As much as I love Rubik, like,
oh yeah,
Winter Wyvern is a joy to play. And one of the big reasons I play Winter Wyvern in pubs is that she has super high impact as a support. And you can... people always complain that, I played 5 and my cores just weren't good and we lost a bunch of team fights and, what am I going to do? I'm playing Alina or I'm playing Lion or I'm playing Venge. It's like, maybe I like kill the enemy support. Okay, sure, but like I can't do much. Winter Wyvern, though, as a 5 is incredibly high impact. She zones incredibly well and she roams fairly well. She just kind of has everything except stuns. In team fights, the general rule of thumb for me is that if we are playing aggressively, I am using my ult as a reactionary ability, and if we are playing defensively, I'm using my ult as an initiation. The 2 easiest examples of this would be if I'm playing Winter Wyvern and the enemy team is pushing my mid tier 3 and they don't have an Aegis, because if you had Aegis, it complicates things to high heaven. But if they don't have an Aegis, I'm going to be trying to initiate because the onus is on them to be moving into our territory, right? And they are going to be generally grouping up to, hit the tower or to save their friends or to, initiate on us maybe. So my goal is to initiate on them and catch them by surprise. And then that allows my team to set up for everything on top of them, right? So even though they can't deal damage, my teammates, they can still, let's say if we have a Centaur, he can still blink on top of somebody and then get ready to stun and do his combo right away. Even though he can't do it instantly, he can set up for everything. Or it gets like, if one of my teammates is bottom, let's say, and he's trying to deal with like a creep wave, this gives him or her a couple seconds to run back over and to get into this fight. Whereas if I'm attacking a tower and let's say we're sieging the tier 3, I am using my ult once the fight starts, because that's when kind of chaos happens and the enemy team doesn't think so hard about their positioning, right? If the enemy team is very aware of the Winter Wyvern, which will happen, especially if you're having a good game, they'll be very conscious of it. They might not position, or they they generally will not position in a way that you can catch anybody, and also you might not have vision if they've dewarded your high ground wards. But if a fight starts, then that kind of goes out the window, and they're saying, "Oh man, like we need both our cores to like try to kill their Dragon Knight or something, or to kill your Dragon Knight on your team." So then suddenly, all their careful planning goes out the window, and then you just ult their Luna, and suddenly she's getting killed by a PL and all his illusions or something. So yeah, that's my general rule of thumb, is that if I'm on the defense, I use it as an initiation, and if I'm on the offense, then I use it as a counter initiation.
Okay.
And I talk about this a lot just in general in Dota, because it really helps me in how I think through decision making, because Dota decision making is so hard. I frequently think to myself, right at the beginning of the game, I make a list from 1 to 5. What is my priority list for my Winter Wyvern ult? So if the enemy team has like a Luna safe lane, and they have a PL mid, and then they have a Centaur off lane, and their 4 is a Slardar, and their 5 is a Lich, I'm saying, all right, the Lich ult is a really big problem for my team because we have a Meepo. So I'm going to try to kill the Lich number 1, because that's the most disruptive thing in our fights. So, and if I can't find a Lich, or if he's already dead, let's say we initiate on Lich with, whatever hero. If I can't get Lich, or if he's already been got, I'm going to then ult Luna, because she is going to be the one that's done the most damage. And if I can't get Luna, then I'm going to get Centaur, because I don't think I can get the PL necessarily, and he's really good at killing his teammates when I ult them. So I make that list right from the beginning of the game, and that's how I kind of think through my thought processes. Also, it's really good for escaping. That's another just sidebar. Even if you're not going to kill anybody, just say, oh, we're running, and then you just throw an ult, and then they can't chase you because, maybe they can, but they're gonna have a harder time chasing you because they get stuck by the ult.
Okay,
take some learning experience.
I think that makes it clearer though, because I guess I just kind of generally play in a state of confusion for a lot of the time, and then I'm just kind of oh no, a team fight's starting. I guess I should ult someone, and then I just kind of do it It's all kind of in a state of panic, I guess. But that really helps, kind of adding some kind of pre-thought into what a team fight might look like and who I actually want to target.
In general,
as simple as it sounds, that helps.
Well, that is the thing, right? Is you want to break everything down to its simplest parts, and you want to kind of like you said, pre-thinking is definitely the key to success in Dota. Right? If you go into a game and you're playing PA and you have absolutely no clue what to buy, that is going to distract from your ability to make other decisions. But if you go into a game as PA and say, right, I know I could build a Battle Fury, or I could build a Deso, I could build a Vanguard, I could build, yada, 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 then that simplifies your thought processes, because you already have pre-decided, all right, these are my possible paths, and depending on how things go, I'm going to go down one or the other, compared to having to think on the fly and just be building things randomly and be like, oh man, I think I really need a Lincoln's. Yeah. And then suddenly you're like, oh man, I built an Ultimate Orb, but I didn't actually need a Lincoln's. I needed to build a BKB, and, yada, yada, yada. You run into all these problems. So you pre-think everything out. Yeah. And again, this applies to virtually every hero in the game, I would say. Make lists of 1 to 5, priority lists, for defensive abilities or for offensive abilities. If you're playing Omni Knight, look at your 4 teammates and say, all right, Repel should go on this person number 1 priority, this person number 2 priority, this person number 3 priority, this person number 4 priority. And then that priority list changes, but in a team fight, if all 5 of you are there, that will help you, prepare for it, and you don't have to think so hard in the moment. Or, we said with Winter Wyvern, you have your list of, I want to ult this guy first and this guy last, and everybody else is in the middle. So that definitely helps me tremendously when I approach pubs.
Yeah, that's a really really good suggestion.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna try really hard to actually do it.
It also in pre-game time, you're doing nothing. A lot of times, if you first pick Winter Wyvern, which I frequently do, it's just all right, I'm just gonna sit here for 3 minutes or however long it takes. I may as well, look at the enemy list. I've already bought my items, so we have that 30-second strategy time, even if they get last pick. Say, all right, they picked XYZ. X is number 1 priority, Z is number 2 priority, Y is number 3 priority. Bam. Easy. That's done a lot of mental math for me already. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. So before we hop into our public, well, we should really have a name for this other than just be the Q&A segment, since this show was more of a Q&A. This is the community Q&A segment, we are going to talk a little bit about Unicorn. They are our sponsor for today's episode. And of course, if you've been listening many of our episodes, they are a gambling site. If you're in the UK or Australia, you can do like full money gambling. If you're in the States, you cannot do that. You can do free gambling, which Proud and I on Theorcraft Thursday last week, we made some successful bets on Vici Gaming. And it's all just like a fun additional thing to do when you're watching pro games. Especially with the new patch, I find myself watching a lot more pro games. And it's just like a fun secondary experience. So I've really enjoyed it so far. So yeah, it's completely free. You can get coins to bet just through playing your own games. If you play for a certain amount of time, you just get coins put into your account. And it's just good old fun. Like, it's like gambling without, it's like gambling without like the potential of losing money as much as there's no potential of gaining money, unless you're in the UK or Australia, in which case go for it and make all the money you'd like. Yeah, so that's Unicorn. And that's UNIKRN, as we said earlier. So let's move into questions. So let's see, what is our first question going to be? So these are all multi-part questions, but we'll just breeze through them. So the first question has some general podcast stuff that I want to get out of the way. So let's go to that first. So Sauce sent us a question in, said, wanted to know what are the go-to supports so far this patch? Bane is pretty hyped from what I gather, but keen to hear what else is good. So we kind of already answered that. But yeah, I would say Jakiro is number one, I would say. B, have you played any Jakiro recently?
I have. And we won. Actually, I think he played a game with you and Proud.
Maybe. Or maybe just Proud. I don't know if I played with you recently.
Maybe a week ago.
Maybe. But either way, Jakiro is stellar. I have,
Jakiro. Yes. Yeah, he's a great support. I find him quite, simple and easy to execute generally. Ice Paths are kind of annoying, but he's a good one.
Yeah, Jakiro, I find, has an answer to every single situation, and that is what I want in a hero if I'm first picking in pubs or second picking in pubs or just picking in pubs in general. Like, there are certain supports that you can sometimes go wrong with. Like, if you pick Oracle, there's some games where there's just a bad pick. Like, if you just blindly pick Oracle, some games the enemy team's going to have heroes that are really good against you, like Axe or Ancient Apparition. And it's just going to be like a terrible Oracle game. And then you're just going to be sitting there for 35 minutes, just miserable because you picked a bad hero in this game. If you pick Jakiro, there's never going to be a game. And unless the team has 5 clockworks, you're going to be fine. Like, you're going to have a fun time playing this hero. And yeah, sure, his cast animations are long, but he has crazy range. He's wild strong. Jakiro is definitely number one in my book. You could play him as a 4, as a 5. You can play him as aggro lanes. You can play him as safe lanes. He's really good at zoning. There are very few times where I'm like, oh man, there's almost never am I sad that I picked Jakiro. Like, he's super, super good. Other than Jakiro, like I said, I really like Rubik, but I always like Rubik. My advice to everybody is that if you would like to play 5, or if you don't like playing 5, but occasionally, realistically, you're going to have to play 5, learn to play Rubik. Similar to Jakiro, there's never a bad Rubik game. And that's what I look for when I'm going to my go-to supports, like Sauce said in his question. My go-to supports are things that are going to be good in every single game, not things that are going to be good sometimes and not others. It's heroes that I can first pick and say, all right, I'm going to have a good game on this hero. And those heroes are Jakiro and Rubik. And then me personally, I pick Bane and Winter Wyvern in those situations as well. But honestly, Bane and Winter Wyvern are a little more situational than Jakiro and Rubik. But I feel that my personal skill on those heroes kind of mitigates any potential game weaknesses, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would say if you're really good at Witch Doctor, let's say, you could just pick Witch Doctor. But if you're not that but then again, some games are just not going to be good at Witch Doctor. Not going to be good Witch Doctor games. Like, oh, they have a puck and he dodges every single orb you throw. Like, okay, this is just a terrible Witch Doctor game. Like, I'm just miserable now. So sometimes you just got to accept that. Let's see. Next part of his question. Secondly, how does Breaky fit into Fourth Spirit, if at all? Love the pro show as it helped keep up with meta teams and would really help with his crazy new competitive season. So Breaky is not, obviously we've had podcasts for a couple weeks now. Breaky's not along with us on Fourth Spirit. We basically just simplified things down to myself, Proud, and B, as you guys can tell. The pro show is something we're going to look into in the future. We like having a pro show, but not for any, like, we all like Breaky. We're all friends with Breaky. But I think Breaky may do something on his own. He's not announced anything. But he was fairly, like, the pro show is a very separate thing of .p, and I think that was very obvious to every listener. So it did not make sense to bring along in the sense that, like, we were really bringing it down to just, like, a few people that have worked together for a long time that wanted to make content, if that makes sense. I have to, like, we have to, like, be careful about our words, because we have nothing against Break at all. There's no it's a very, like, just, you know, people go opposite ways. Similar, like, we have no problems with Cyphers. Like, it's just, it is what it is. So we're not gonna have Break as a show host, but I mean, if you follow him on Twitter, I imagine he's gonna do something. And like, he's casting like crazy. He got invited to one of the minors. I saw that recently. I had a laugh because I feel like I feel like I use different phrases when I'm with you, B-Dub, because, like,
really?
I'm one of those people, especially if I've been drinking, which obviously I've not been drinking. I've been drinking Robitussin, which is probably more dangerous to my podcast quality than actual alcohol. But I'm one of those people that, like, mimics accents accidentally if I'm with people.
Oh, I'm the same. I do the same.
Yeah, and so I find myself doing that. Like, if I am hosting a show with you or just in a party with you, I will use phrases like "have a laugh," when, like, in reality, I would never say "have a laugh." Like, that's just not a thing I would say in a regular situation.
That's so funny.
But yeah. Anyway, so that's the pro show news. We will be talking more about pro stuff on Theorycraft Thursday, at least, maybe even Teach Me Tuesday if we get questions about it. Which you can send to show@fourthspirit.com, or DM any of us. We'll still be talking about pro stuff, but we just don't want to have a pro-centric show. It's not really in our wheelhouse. And it was a ton of work. Also, that's another big thing, is that the pro show is by far the biggest burden of editing and whatnot. And obviously, you know, it worked out, but it is like a big project to take on with all the guests and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure.
So thirdly, I'm a patron. I heard you guys are trying to make the old .p one to Fourth Spirit. Just wondering if you guys are going to be doing exclusive podcasts or what's the happenings with that. So this is the reason why I picked this question out of the hat, which we are converting the .p Patreon completely. If you are a patron currently, you will be getting, like, an email message to whatever your patron email is. It will be converted to Fourth Spirit. We will have in completely new rewards. We'll have completely new stretch goals and whatnot, because obviously a lot of the rewards and goals we can't use for the old one. Like, I mean, Roland's not going to 1v1 you because Roland's not a part of Fourth Spirit, right? Or, like, we are not going to, like, gush and stuff like that. Like, it's just not, it doesn't fit in the shows. So we have a lot of fun things. I don't think we're going to announce any yet because they're not totally finalized. But we have a lot of really fun ones. B, Proud, and I had a really good meeting on Sunday. And I think our new stretch goals are hilarious and very fun and rewarding. Or rather, our rewards are fun and rewarding. And our stretch goals are fun and rewarding also. So it's a win-win. And there will be Patreon exclusive episodes. At the moment, we are definitely doing bi-weekly, like we have been, episodes on every other week. Instead of doing it like the 15th and 30th of the month, we're just going to do it every other week, I think. And then we're also talking about doing shorter Patreon exclusives every other week as well. So it would end up being a Patreon exclusive every single day. I mean, Jesus, every single week. Definitely not every single day.
That's not what I signed up for.
Yeah. You'd have to support us for a lot of money on Patreon to get an episode every single day. Boy. Yeah, so there's going to be plenty of stuff on the Patreon front. We'll be doing quite a few changes and whatnot. That is exciting, I think. It's a lot of very practical and some impractical but fun rewards.
Yeah, they're fun. We had a fun meeting thinking them all up. So
yeah,
I hope everyone enjoys them as much as we do.
Yeah. It's very exciting though. And yeah, so if you are a patron currently, you don't have to find us anywhere else. It will be just converted over, and all the money still goes to all the places that it used to go. Like, all it does is it pays for us to host the podcast on things like Libsyn, and pay for the services that we need to get music and to host files and whatnot. And the remainder just goes to the show hosts for hosting the shows and whatnot. So yeah, it's not. We're not shoveling the money to overseas Cayman Island funds or anything like that. It's very much the same as it always was. And the reason why we are not making a new one is just because the product hasn't changed, right? Like Fourth Spirit is not fundamentally different. It is very much a rebrand. The only difference, obviously, is that we have different shows, but we still have the core shows. We still have Teach Me Tuesday. We still have Theorycraft Thursday. And down the road, we will likely have a casual show potentially or a pro show potentially. But our core product is still podcast. So it would not make much sense for us to make an entire new Patreon. So yeah, that's the gist on that. You'll hear more about that in the future, especially once we formally launch everything, which will likely be happening within the next week, I would say. So yeah, look out on that front. It'll be fun. I'm excited. We have some very fun stretch goals and some very fun rewards that I'm personally thrilled to announce and also produce and make.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, let's see. Final one. This is a Beedub specific question. Is there another desktop background coming out? Love the Tidehunter one. It's still my background. And is there going to be more on the way? That is one of the rewards that we talked about, and we're going to have that. So yes,
that is definitely something that will still be a thing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to making some new artwork. It should be good.
I'm excited. We can even have a background that is just the Fourth Spirit logo. That way people are constantly reminded of how much they like us. That's the dream.
True.
That's the dream. We don't need Dota logos. We don't need to do anything like that. We just need to everybody just stare at the Fourth Spirit logo for hours and hours on end.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. How many questions should we do? We should do a couple more at least. So Arthur sent in first question. How can we watch Proud and Ursi's game replays? What are your Steam usernames? Sometimes you talk about your week in Dota. I'm interested in watching the games to see how you approach certain heroes and situations. So you can add me on Steam. I'm almost 1,000% sure that I've not hit the Steam friends list like cap. I am fourth, like the number 4 th dot Ursi, URSI. You can friend me on there and watch all my games to your heart's content. I do play on offline mode a lot just because I like to zen out and not like get messages and whatnot mostly from my real life friends, not from listeners and like online friends and stuff. Because I use Discord for basically everything except for my real life friends that message me on Steam, and I'm a bit of a recluse. But you can find me on there and just click on my account and you can watch my games if you'd like, or watch while I'm playing. And you can backseat game me. Just kidding, please don't do that. The Proud, let's see, what's Proud's name at the moment? Proud, I believe, is And the Hyena. He switches his name a lot, so he's a bit more reclusive than I am. You can just, I would say, if you want to follow our games, one good way to do it, if you use Dota Buff, I don't think this is a Dota Buff Prime thing, but you can follow people on Dota Buff and it'll show you every game they complete. So like I'm on my Dota Buff dashboard right now, and like I follow Merlini. So it says Merlini won a random draft match 2 hours ago, 7, 6, and 20 KDA on Kunkka, 539 GPM, 629 XPM. And if I click through, it just pulls up that game and I can download that match ID from the client if I want. So that's a really good function if you want to follow us like anywhere. Like I check my Dota Buff while I'm at work, which is irresponsible. But I'll check it out. I'll just like, oh man, like Proud just won a game as Terrible Aid. He was 7, 4, and 5. What was his skill build? Or like what was his item build? Like, oh, let's look. Let's see if I agree with Proud. He went Magic Wand, Treads, Dragonlance, Manta, BKB, Blightstone, and an Aki in his backpack. So yeah, that's basically the build I would do. I wouldn't build a BKB though. But man, Proud built a BKB in a game where he was winning 48-18. Excuse me, that's some commitment to playing good Dota. I'm not gonna lie. I would never build a BKB in a game where I was winning 48-18. That's just not a thing.
Is this why he tells you off for bad habits, though?
Oh, I mean, that is definitely a bad habit. Like, that is 1,000% a bad habit where I would just not do that. I would be like, hey, like, I don't need a BKB. I'm gonna build a butterfly, and then I'd probably die for it. But yeah, well, actually, he was only 7 and 4, so maybe he was dying. Maybe they're just trying to focus him. Regardless, you can get all the details on that. You can look at my last Invoker game. I was 13 and 3. If I want to, you can watch my games and all that. And yeah, you can download through Dota Buff if you don't want to friend us in game. But yeah, Proud is And the Hyena. That's an ampersand the Hyena. I think that's a band name. And then I don't change my name ever. I'm just 4th period Ursi, URSI. So yeah, if you want to watch our games or just look them up, you can do that. Beedub, where can people watch your games? They want to get the full TMT experience.
Well, they can watch and laugh or shake their head in despair at whatever I'm doing. I'm just Beedub, super easy to find.
That's easy.
That's it. It's just Beedub. Yeah, no A-ups involved or anything like on my social media. So
yeah, I think in the next couple weeks or so, now that like things with Force Spirit have settled down in terms of establishing everything, I think I might start streaming again. So especially maybe this week if I don't end up actually being sick for the rest of the week. Let's hope. So our Twitch is twitch.tv/4thspirit. That's spelled out FOURTH Spirit. Right, Beedub? Beedub, you streamed there once, right?
I have not, but
okay, but you made it.
Yeah, I did make it, but I would like to stream on that channel.
Yeah.
Once I'm kind of like not moving house and actually, have a computer.
Yeah. So look out for that in the future if you want to watch my games in live. That's not how English works, but that's okay. Arthur's second question. I'm thinking about starting the MMR climb once the season starts. A good thought that I have as well. What's the best way to approach that in this new patch and in general? I'm a 2.5k player, usually playing carrier mid. Let's see. So, also, this is like a little bit of a tangent, but it's related to Arthur's question. B, what are you playing ranked now that they're introducing the season stuff? Nice. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm
super excited about this because the whole reason I never wanted to play ranked before was because I've known people who, like, I have a lot of things to improve on, but I never wanted to do that thing where you calibrate and then you're just forever trying to climb up that ladder whilst also still learning and stuff. So I thought before, obviously, they changed the MMR system. I always thought that, I would get better and then calibrate. But now it changes. Is it every 6 months? Is it every?
Yes, every 6 months is a new season.
Every 6 months it resets. And then, yeah. So now there's no pressure. Well, I mean, there's still pressure, but I can actually calibrate and, see what my MMR would be. Which is kind of.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I am excited. I was actually thinking about. Actually, no, that's a really bad idea. I was thinking about streaming my calibration, but I get very distracted whilst I'm streaming, so maybe that's a terrible idea.
But streaming is very distracting. Yeah. And also, like, if streaming is not distracting, you either A, are really good at it, or B, are really bad at it. Yeah. I feel like that's, like, if you're not giving any attention at all to, like, chat and, like, entertain the stream, then, like, you're either naturally really good at it, or you've put in so many hours that you're good at it, or you're just, like, not good at it because you're not paying any attention. You're not interacting with people.
I remember, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I was streaming on my own channel and you came in and I was playing a Spirit Breaker and like, I was just like wandering around, not paying attention at all to the game at all. And I was looking at chat, reading chat, like having a good time. And you ended up typing in, B, do something, go back to base, go heal up, like, remember you're playing. And I was like, oh shit, like, just completely forgot. I was just like, oh no!
I was in there for a while.
I think actually, when you came into the chat, I was like, no, Ursi, don't be here. Like, you're gonna see all of my you're gonna see my terrible playing, but it's even worse because I'm distracted by all these people that I'm talking to, and having fun. I try not to backseat game, but just through virtue of like the podcast has like made me into more of a backseat gamer where like, cause people ask for our advice. So like now I'm naturally inclined to give advice. And, I was sitting in your chat probably for like 15 minutes and I was just like hanging out watching it cause I have 2 monitors. So I usually keep something on the second. Yeah.
And, I was just like being quiet and I was like, cause I don't want to like there's nothing productive to say. And I was just like, this is like, I can't believe this is happening. Like you're playing Spirit Breaker, you're not moving. Like do something. Yeah. So I was like, I need to help B. Yeah. I try not to do that with my friends' streams or with any stream. I don't watch many streams though.
Honestly, I'm quite happy for people to come into my stream and be like, why are you building that? That's crazy. Obviously, don't give me bad advice, though, because I'm bad and I will take it.
I was going to say, the problem is context. You don't know if it's good advice or not.
Well, this
especially
is the
if you're new. Yeah. Somebody just like shows up and they're like, yeah, you should have built an Echo Saber on like Drow. And they're like, oh yeah, trust me, it works. It's like that advice doesn't make sense. And if you're a really new player, you might be like, oh man, that does work. That's so cool. Yeah, so that's a potential pitfall. Anyway,
wait,
get
what
back
was
to
the
this
original?
question.
Yeah, what was the original question?
Yeah. So once a new season starts, he's going to be playing ranked. He is 2.5K, and he's usually plays carrier mid. So he wants to know what would the approach to be to the new patch and whatnot for climbing. So my go-to for the new patch, I would say, is similar to my approach for any patch. But the big thing, if you're playing mid, I guess we'll talk about mid first. If you're playing mid, you are back to the times where you're focused a lot on counterpicking the enemy mid, and also it's a big deal about mechanics. So previous patches, like recent patches, we had this like duo lane or tri-lane mid situation where there were all these heroes mid and all these roamers and stuff. Now mid is much more of a 1v1 with occasional roaming. So you really need to focus on your mechanical success. And the easiest way to be mechanically successful is to counterpick the enemy mid. So a easy example of that is, say, all right, they're playing Shadow Fiend. They pick it, let's say they like third pick Shadow Fiend and you still haven't picked your hero. You say, all right, I could just try to out-mechanic him by playing whatever mid I want, or I could counterpick and say, all right, I'm going to pick TA, and then I can definitely out-mechanic him on top of also being a counterpick to him. So that's my way I would approach playing mid if I was going to climb, is if the enemy team has picked their mid, counterpick it. Otherwise, just pick a lane dominator or a comfort hero, to be fair. I think people focus a little too much on like on strategic success rather than skill-based success, especially and at any MMR below 6K, probably. Like, a lot of times, even if you pick into a bad matchup, you'll do better playing a hero you like rather than playing the counterpick if you're not good at it. So, like, if the enemy team picks TA third and you pick Viper and you suck at Viper, you're like, sure, you counterpick them, good job, but you're going to lose this game because you picked a hero you're not comfortable on. Like, you would have been better just picking Invoker because you're an Invoker spammer that has 1,000 games of Invoker and just figuring it out anyway. And like, yeah, sure, your lane is lost, but you farm anyway and you'll be fine. So yeah, I would say pick ideal matchups if you can play those heroes. Otherwise, just pick two heroes that you'll do well on mechanically, because nowadays it's back to that, like, I want to get as many last hits and as many denies as possible. I don't need to worry about roamers, and I don't really need to worry about killing the enemy mid. Sure, if I do kill them, that's nice, great, good job, but it's more about mechanics. One of the other things with mid that has been changing in the last like year or so is that people are moving away from bottle. One of the good examples is Mirana. I really like bottle Mirana, but increasingly I find myself losing to Miranas that skip bottle and beating Miranas that do go bottle. And I still usually win my matchups when I play bottle Mirana because I feel that it gives me more mana to play around with and to be hyper aggressive with. But watching a lot of really good Mirana players, I realize I probably should not be going bottle anymore, because you don't want to take the time to leave and go get a rune, and runes are very inconsistent. And you have all this mobility from supports that are getting bounty runes, so a lot of times they will just go get a real rune also. And you may not have, now that you have to commit more wards to the off lane and to the safe lane, you may not have a rune ward in a reasonable amount of time. So bottle is kind of, if you don't really need it, you should probably skip it, and that gives you incredible mechanical dominance. Like yesterday, maybe the day before, I played Invoker versus Mirana as a mid matchup. And that's normally a matchup I would win super hard as Invoker because I deal so much damage with Exort. But she skipped bottle and had like Phase, Aki, and maybe a second Wraithband, if I recall correctly, at like 6 minutes. And there were like probably 7 minutes, 8 minutes maybe. Regardless, in that phase, in that span of time. And it was just miserable. Like, she was dealing comparable damage to me, even though I had like 6 points or 5 points of Exort or whatever. So you can definitely abuse the fact that bottle, if you can skip a bottle, you can abuse that and really win a mid matchup really handily. At the moment, my like mid pool, I would say, if you are a Storm Spirit player, play Storm. He's really good right now. I personally am playing Invoker. I would play Mirana. I think Mirana's maybe the safest mid in that you could just pick her every game. And sure, some matchups are better than others, but you'll never really have a bad matchup for Mirana. Yeah, you can. Mid's pretty open nowadays. You just have to pick advantageous matchups. Just don't pick really bad matchups. I think that's the more important thing. Like if you are playing, let's see, like if you're playing Dragon Knight, don't pick Dragon Knight into OD. Like just don't do it. Like sure, maybe you're a great Dragon Knight player, but that's going to be a miserable time. Just don't do that. So yeah, pick comfort heroes or just mechanically win matchups. Safe lane, I would play Juggernaut. I think Juggernaut's super solid right now. I think Luna's quite good right now. Slark kind of sucks. I had success on him once, and I've seen success. I've seen him be successful once or twice, but the Hex nerf changes him a lot. Anti-Mage is definitely the standout safe laner at the moment, but he does require a certain amount of freedom or a certain amount of mechanical skill to get out of bad situations. Whereas if you just get duo laned, like you're just going to have a hard time if you're not a really good anti-mage player. So be very careful about just picking anti-mage every single game. I like Faceless Void safe lane, especially if you have a duo lane off lane that is, or a tri lane off lane for that matter, that is aggressive and can supply things. Because he's not really going to man fight cores like a Juggernaut or a PA will, but he will help his other cores deal a lot of damage, unless you're messing up your Chronos. And Medusa's good too. I personally don't like Medusa that much, but she's definitely showing that she's a very good hero at the moment. I wouldn't be picking PA anymore. I know BW like PA a lot. I'm sullied on the PA experience with all the nerfs to armor and all the evasion changes. I don't know. I haven't played too much PA, but the one or the, let's see, maybe like 3 or 4 times I've seen it, it's been very lackluster.
Yeah, I can't. When did I last play PA? I'm just thinking, have I even played her in this?
I haven't played her since 7.07.
I played her 17 days ago. Was that this? No, that wasn't. No, then I haven't played her.
No, that wasn't. Yeah, she's in a weird spot right now. She can do cool like evasion things. Like people have been going. I've seen some butterfly PA, and it's just like you have so much evasion, it's absurd. Because people can't just buy MKB. Like, yeah, they buy MKB and they get a comparable amount of True Strike, but you are just adding to that. So, yeah, you could do some weird things on PA, but I don't think she's great. People like Spectre as well because games are going late. I feel like if you're at 2.5k, you need to be concerned about how the games flow in terms of lanes are probably not going to be as, like, well thought out. And, like, 3-1-1, stuff like that. They're going to be a lot more dual lanes and a lot more messy team comps. Which is why I prefer picking heroes like Luna or Juggernaut that can just fight and they can just figure things out. I really like Juggernaut at the moment. Troll is also, I would say, my honorable mention. I don't think Troll is like OP by any means, but I think Troll is in a pretty good spot at the moment as well. Let's do one more quick question, shall we? So Welchbo said, "What's your favorite change so far, and how do you feel that your favorite heroes were treated by Ice Frog?" So B, what changes really stuck out to you? What is your favorite change?
I think my favorite change was the Wraith King skeletons. Just, I know it's like, I know we've already spoken about
Brad's
it,
favorite.
But like that is 100% my favorite change. It's just so much fun. It's very distracting because I like to watch where they go, and that's not great when you're trying to play a game and actually win. And I'm just like, oh, look at them go. They're just so entertaining. I'm trying to think what else was maybe a favorite change. I mean, it's kind of, I kind of like the fact they got rid of Iron Talon because you think,
Oh yeah, me too.
Jungle LC shouldn't be a thing anymore. Although I have had like 3 of them since the new patch.
I was going to say, yeah.
Why? What
they cannot be stopped. They're like cockroaches.
Yeah.
They just don't die.
Like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, like this is a joke, and then it's like, oh no, it's not at all. It's very serious.
I had a jungle axe in one of my games, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? Then again, I did lose to a jungle enigma where I think it was on the Theorcraft Thursday game last week, where I was just so taken aback because he just showed up in lane at 20 seconds. It was just punching us.
Oh, really?
Like, well, you're supposed to be jungling. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, wait, the jungle doesn't spawn for another 40 seconds. Yeah. Let's see. My favorite change so far is that it's kind of I've talked about it before, but I love the changes to mid. That's definitely my favorite change. I love mid again, whereas I hated mid for the last couple patches because it was this like gross roamers and 2v2 and 3v3. Because ever since they introduced the new creep, they put in the additional melee creep in mid ever since 7.0, and now they finally took it away. And now that they've taken that away and increased the kind of they increased the reward for being a strong mechanical player, that has really revitalized my love of playing mid. I really enjoyed the like 1v1 test of skill versus another player. And that's thrilling to me. It does get like maddening sometimes where people just pick annoying stuff like Silencer mid. Like Silencer mid is so lane dominant without actually killing you. Like I don't think I've ever died to a Silencer mid alone, but I'm always low health. I'm always miserable, and I'm always just regretting the fact that I decided to play mid that game.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
So yeah,
I would say that's another favorite change of mine. The fact that deniers are so much more like powerful, I guess.
Yeah. It feels really good. I would say like the creeps just feel good now. I think to make it as simple as possible. So yeah, I really enjoy mid. Let's see the second part of this question. How do you feel that your favorite heroes were treated by Ice Frog? So let's see. My favorite heroes. Well, let's see. I'll do one of mine, then you can do one of yours, then we can just go back and forth. So Invoker, Invoker is okay right now. I feel very lukewarm on this new Cataclysm talent that people are kind of freaking out about. I'm not thrilled by it. I've yet to play Kaya Invoker. I was thinking about that. I think Invoker's more or less the same. His new talents are kind of weird, and I kind of don't care for them, if I'm being honest. I really liked the HP talent that he used to have, and instead of that, I get 30 Chaos Meteor damage. It's like, okay, well, whatever. I guess so. I don't really care for that. Yeah, so what's a hero from your playbook, B?
I mean, Scarith is my favorite hero. I think I missed the global, what is it that they added? The
global
concussive shot. Yeah, so I don't think, like, every time I've played him, I've never gone with that because I have played him quite a few times this patch, and I've never done
sucks,
that. But,
I'll be honest.
Yeah, but I played against one and it completely surprised me. And I was like, where is that coming from? I just completely skipped over that was a change. And like, I mean, I don't think it's particularly useful. So I wouldn't even really talk about Scarith. But actually another, I would say like my maybe second most played hero is Vengeful Spirit, which kind of have like a bit of a love-hate relationship with her.
That's very in character for Vengeful Spirit.
It's true. But yeah, I think the allied hero illusion, if they're in your damage aura thing, is interesting. I'm not quite sure whether. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I make of it. I have to say,
I've been very surprised by that. I'll say,
yeah.
I have not had any situations where it's been like consequential, but I have had some times where I'm like, what is this thing attacking me?
Yeah.
I remember I played a game recently and a Pudge was just attacking me. And I was like, what? Like, it's dealing like 12 damage and it's just kind of following me around. And like, yeah, sure, it stopped my blink or whatever, but who cares? Like, it was just weird. So yeah, I've been adjusting to that.
Yeah.
I like Venge a lot though. I think she's really good at the moment. I think she definitely got improved from last patch. Let's see. My next hero, I'd say Bane is definitely my standout. I talked about Bane probably every single podcast we've released post 7.0. I really like his changes. As much as people are memeing about the Enfeeble talent, and of course 7.07b, they changed it around. He feels so good right now just because of the cast point reduction. They could change all of his talents and all of his everything, and I would not care the least if they put it back. The only thing I care about is that he now is back to having... he now has 0.4 cast points instead of 0.5. It makes the world of difference. It has made playing Bane incredibly way more fun. And it's less frustrating too, which goes hand in hand with way more fun. But it was just not fun. It's just not fun playing heroes with really long cast points. And having 0.4 cast points is long but manageable, whereas 0.5 feels like a snail's pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe I'll pick one more hero to talk about. Winter Wyvern really hasn't changed that much. So I won't talk about her. Mirana. I really like the new leaps on Mirana. I think if I was to talk about another one of my favorite heroes, she feels real good right now. She is a really lane dominating mid. The new Diffusal Blade feels amazing on her. So yeah, I've been thrilled to play new Mirana as well.
Yeah. I played my very first game of Mirana, I think, a couple of days ago. I'm not sure. I don't think it was in a real match, though. It was in a turbo. I was trying it out. And yeah, a lot of fun. I hadn't played it before, but yeah, I think it was a game where I had to play mid, and I was like, I'm just going to try this out. I've heard it's good. And yeah, it was fun. It was good.
Yeah.
To say I liked
her
it a
attack
lot.
animation is very easy to play with and very satisfying, too. It's incredibly annoying to play against. But yeah, she has a great attack animation for a mid hero.
Yeah. I would say another thing that I loved is the probably not particularly useful and probably the wrong talent to go with. I don't know, but the extra Wukong command ring on Monkey King.
Oh yeah,
I love that because it's just huge. It is. It's just so much fun. If you're kind of winning, it's just an extra kind of like punch in the face for the other for the enemy team, which is it's kind of mean, but it's so much fun.
Oh yeah, I mean. My only interaction with it is losing to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it definitely felt like an extra punch in the face.
Yeah.
I think that's a very accurate way to describe it.
It's great. I love that. So good.
Yeah. All right. So that's been our episode of Teach Me Tuesday for this week. We made it through it. It went a little long, but we have to figure out exactly how long everything's going to go with all these questions now. So we have more questions for next week. Of course, you can send in questions if you'd like them to get answered to show@fourthspirit.com show@fourthspirit.com. Or you can DM any one of us three hosts, and we will put it on our docket and get it going. Or you can send it to us on Twitter, @fourthspirit. You can find me on Twitter, @Ursinity. You can find Beedub on Twitter, @AYUPBDub, AYUPBDub.
Yep.
And you can find, let's see, what else? Tell a friend. That's the best way to support the podcast. Tell a friend. Patreon, like I said, it is the Defense of the Patience Patreon that will be transferred over, and it will have like a new custom URL and whatnot. So if you want to find that, that's patreon.com/Defense of the Patience at the moment, and then it will be converted to patreon.com/fourthspirit once we make the full transfer for in probably a week or two. The last Defense of the Patience Patreon charges and whatnot are going to the in-houses, and the in-houses are ending on the 15th. Which is Wednesday. So that's why we've not transferred that yet, because the Patreon is important for the in-house goals, or the in-house rewards and all that. Yeah. Anything else? Anything we forgot to plug? Discord.gg/fourth, FOURTH. That is our Discord server. If you're in the Doppy Discord, you're already in the fourth Discord. It's just transferred over. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, B-Dub?
I think that's it.
I feel like I always forget one. Let's hope that's it.
I think that's it.
Anyway, this has been a very fun Teach Me Tuesday. We will see you again next week or Thursday or whenever you choose to listen to us again. Thanks for listening. What's the tagline for this show? We've all learned a little bit about each other, a little bit about Dota 2, and a little bit about ourselves.